Beginning of our centenary celebrations. A very special welcome to Professor Jogadendra Mondal, our joint PD, agreeing to be here as our guest, and of course Rotrudi, who has graced our occasion despite her ill health, and Purnimadi, who has come from so far to be with us today. It's a privilege to be here on this very premise where Dr. G.S. Bose has started Indian Psychoanalytic Society in 1922. His ideas and thoughts nurtured by many, many members over these 100 years. If we go on to name them, Dr. S.C. Mitra, Dr. D.K. Sinha, Mr. Ghoshal, Dr. S.K. Mitra, Dr. Nandi, Mrs. Hashi Gupta, Dr. Sharodindu Bandyopadhyay, Arup Ghoshal, and so many. The list goes on and on. Today we are celebrating the 100 years of hard work of all these people and celebrating IPS, our society's survival of some very, very hard and tough times. Over these last years, many wars and pain had been there, like the Indo-China War, the Indo-Pakistan War, and so much of unrest up till the last COVID-19 and the lockdown. So we we have adapted, improvised, and survived. So we are celebrating that in this centenary celebration. We were quick to change from offline to online, and that resulted in our dual celebration today with our celebration, a virtual celebration also, where the international dignitaries, our IPA president, vice president, and so many other dignitaries are being able to be with us on our opening ceremony. So keeping all this in mind and our survival through all these hard times, today let's seek blessings from our analytic forefathers and let's pledge to carry the legacy of last 100 years forward into the next century. With this, I welcome you all and I invite our President, Dr. Mishra, to introduce and welcome our guests and start the ceremony.
So, interchange the photograph. Interchange. And when I actually change what they say for microphone connected. On behalf of the Indian Psychoanalytical Society, all its three chapters, Kolkata being in Kolkata, I welcome you all on this very, very auspicious occasion. Nobody will doubt that completing 100 years of existence is a landmark achievement. And I actually mean not merely sterile existence, but not merely a sterile existence, it has been a very meaningful existence for us. When Dr. Bose started psychoanalysis in India, hardly few people had heard about the existence of psychoanalysis. People were not at all familiar with any work of Freud because they were not available in English translation. It was the genius of Dr. Bose who himself indigenously had thought about regression, and then he had also read one or through books by Freud. And then when he sent his copy of dissertation, the BSc dissertation to Freud, and started the correspondence which now we have published, that Indian Psychoanalytical Society was established. It has been a very, very difficult existence for us because there was very strong resistance towards the theories of psychoanalysis, which is still prevalent. I mean, it is nowadays psychoanalysis is actually facing stiff competition from a number of rival therapies, mostly behavioristic in approach, which actually claim that they will be able to help the people in much shorter period of time, which they are doing. Quite a few of them doing successfully. But we still consider that psychoanalysis has a very special value in the field of understanding human beings and in the field of treating mental patients. Because we do claim that we actually try to go to the root, we try to understand its factors, these factors, because it is a depth psychology, those which actually result in the suffering of human beings. And of course, if you go deep, then removing the deeper causes does take a lot of time. So we have been through, as our secretary has pointed out, a lot of trouble. The last one, capping all probably, was this pandemic that we have actually faced. It was so infectious that we still are wearing masks, most of us. And because I'm speaking, so I'm not wearing mask. Anyway, we had thought of postponing this inauguration ceremony because of the pandemic situation. But suddenly the condition of our country improved. And then we suddenly decided that we would go ahead with our task. Being analysts, we had to face every situation, we had to be ready to face every calamity and do our work. That is what Freud has taught us, and that is what Dr. Bose also has taught us. So we decided, and everything has been done within 15 days. So there may be lots of lapses for which we seek your forgiveness. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Jagadendra Mandal with us. I'm introducing him, but it's not possible to introduce such an august personality, all his work, but I'm briefly introducing him. He actually, we all know that he was a former professor and head of the Department of the Applied Psychology Department of Calcutta University. He was also selected and elected both Dean of the Graduate Studies of Science student in the year 1993. He was invited to the West Virginia University, USA, to deliver lectures on substance abuse and rehabilitation, and his lectures were acclaimed both in India and abroad. Certificate of appreciation also was given to him for his contribution to applied psychology and especially in the area of rehabilitation. An award of distinction was given to him by US Asia Foundation for introducing the promotion of the course of rehabilitation in psychology, first time in the University of Calcutta. So this is in addition to all the research work that he has done. 6 books at least he has donated to our society, and lots of papers he has already published. But this is not all. It is very difficult to find a person who has this kind of scientific attitude, which is coupled and combined with a literary flavor, especially music. Dr. Jagadendra Mandal is a poet, singer, and musician. So he has at one time also edited a poetry journal, Moyuk, for quite some time. He himself has published books on poem, and his music. He has published many of, I think, 2 CDs I already have actually. He has donated, given it to me. Sent it to me, I have listened to it, and is adept in English Urdu Prashant. Both. Today we will request him to give a sample of his musical abilities. So I think we are very fortunate to have him here. We now we have our second guest, Janti Basu. I will talk about her later on. But I think Janti doesn't need any. I will now request our student, Shruti Chakraborty, to start the opening song, and then we will invite our today's chief guest, Dr. Wonder, to start the seminar, or to start our centenary celebration by lighting the lamp.
আনন্দলোকে মঙ্গলালোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর আনন্দলোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর গ্রহতার উদ্ভাসিত মহাগগন মাঝে মহিমা তব উদ্ভাসিত মহাগগন মাঝে বিশ্ব জগৎ মণিভূষণ বেষ্টিত চরণে আনন্দলোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর গ্রহ তারক চন্দ্র তপন ব্যাকুল দ্রুত বেগে গ্রহ তারক চন্দ্র তপন ব্যাকুল দ্রুত বেগে করিছে পান করিছে স্নান অক্ষয় কিরণে আনন্দলোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর বহে জীবন রজনী চিরনূতন ধারা করুণা তব অবিশ্রাম জনমে মরণে আনন্দলোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর স্নেহ প্রেম দয়া ভক্তি কোমল করে প্রাণ স্নেহ প্রেম দয়া ভক্তি কোমল করে প্রাণ কত সন্তান পরবর্ষণ সন্তাপ হরণে আনন্দ লোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর আনন্দ লোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ সত্য সুন্দর। May I now invite our President, Dr. Mishra, to chair the ceremony and then to begin inviting our guests for lighting the lamp.
Thank you, Bharti. I now invite our chief guest, Professor to inaugurate the centenary celebration by lighting the lamp.
Pushpati, will you take your chair and invite our guest, Professor Mondul? আপনি আসুন। Jayanti di Ashwinathan. Rotrudy, will you please come on dais and grace us? You are our senior most members in the society. And now our students will felicitate and give flowers to our guests. Our chief guest, Dr. Mondal. Our president will felicitate Dr. Mandal. For the panel.
हमारी सोसाइटी के
Now Dr. Mishra will felicitate Jayanti Di. Dr. Jayanti Vasu. Now Dr. Mishra will present flowers to our senior most member, Rotary, and felicitate them. Now our president would be felicitated. May I invite our president, Dr. Mishra, to call on our guests.
I now invite our chief guest to speak a few words of what he thinks about our work of Dr. Ghosh and whatever he thinks about psychoanalysis. So, Dr. Ghosh.
President of Psychoanalytic and the distinguished organizers of the society, except for distinguished distinguished guests and participants here today. Feel very much privileged that I have been invited chief guest of this occasion to celebrate centenary celebration of Indian psychological society. I thank Dr. Professor Pushpa to invite me and give me a chance to meet you all. I take this occasion as an opportunity to pay my homage to Virendra Bosu, not only to Virendra Bosu, but his students and disciples who were my teachers, like Professor S.C. Mitro, Professor S.N. Roy, Professor Dr. Ganguly, and Professor Torun Singh. They are all my teachers, and this is the occasion I pay homage to them. Indian Psychoanalytical Society has a very good heritage of distinguished scholars and dedicated to the subject of psychology, particularly to psychoanalysis. I always feel that psychology is yet a very neglected subject. It was a neglected subject, and still now I feel that it has not been appreciated and taken up as it should have been. I always feel and I always say that in planning commission you take economists, but why not psychologists? Economics has come after human efforts, human motivation. The psychology, without psychology and without psychological knowledge and without cultivation of psychology, we do not know ourselves and we cannot know others, we cannot know the society. Therefore, I feel that psychology and psychoanalysis, this particular branch, should be given more and more importance and should be given, it should come to a platform where from they can disseminate psychological knowledge, they can disseminate and direct the planners and the leaders of the society where to go, and how to monitor and motivate the people in the right direction. So today I shall expect that from now on, psychoanalytical society will try to push and move forward so that it can be, the knowledge of psychoanalysis can be disseminated not only to a cluster of people, but should be disseminated in general. And therefore, I always say that you know that environmental science is being taught at school. It's not. What environment? External. If you do not know your internal environment, that is psychology, your psychology, what is the use of just knowing the external environment? So environmental science, I always say, should be composed of both internal and external environment, and so disseminate the knowledge of internal environment psychology. Subject of psychology is must be included in environmental science. Do you agree with me? So from psychoanalytic society, I think there should be a movement that psychology should be included in the syllabus of environmental science, along with the science of environmental. If you know your external environment, and if you do not know what type of conflict you are suffering from, if you do not know your limitations, if you do not know your assets and liabilities yourself, how you will be able to bring in harmony in yourself? So internal harmony and external harmony, both should be the goal of education and both should be the goal of particularly psychology and psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis does not mean the only treatment part. No, the creativity has been now explained in terms of unconscious intuition. Science is an outcome of creativity. Literature, art, they are all an outcome of creativity. And this creativity cannot be explained just by logical reasoning. It has now been established that creativity is an outcome of unconscious mind and intuition. Rabindranath told that Rajarshi has come out in dreams. Milton's Paradise Lost, his spark came in dreams. And you know, Rani Rashmoni, you know Rani Rashmoni. She moved for a pilgrimage to Benares. In the boat, you know this story. She had a dream and she returned. Such a plot where his dream has dictated that a temple must be established. You know this story. She came back. She searched the land and found out a particular spot which corresponded to her dreams. You know, she founded that temple, Bhakaneshwar Mandir, and you know the subsequent all stories, how Ganesha was charged and moved by the participants and collection of talented persons at Bhakaneshwar, including Swami Vivekananda. So that dream sparked in a way the desire to build up that temple, and that temple made such a historic story and events that moved, that that came out as a Renaissance. So if you do not know or mind our unconscious, and now you know that conscious unconscious has been marked as microphysics has established that light sometimes become particle, sometimes become wave. When it will be particle and when it will be wave, it cannot be mechanically predicted. That depends on, if I say, desire of the light. Can I not say desire of the light? When I will be particle, this is my desire, light's desire. When it will be wave, it's the light's desire. So in the particle there is mind. It's now established. So it cannot be mechanically predicted. It is not being just dictated by deterministic science and deterministic Newtonian deterministic determinism. Similarly, it has been established that conscious becomes sometimes unconscious, unconscious becomes sometimes conscious. So mind is one. As light becomes sometimes wave and sometimes particle, so our mind becomes sometimes conscious and sometimes unconscious. You cannot just demarcate. It also has established Freud that there is conscious, unconscious, that demarcation in the context of the microphysics science today and in the context of analytical psychology of you, mind is conscious and unconscious. going together. So that creativity comes from unconscious, what we call intuition. And all discoveries, all new things have come out from conscious, from intuition. And that has been subsequently substantiated by logic and reasoning. Anyway, these words I want to emphasize that psychoanalytical society, and here the head of the department of the applied psychology is here. I will request all to come together and to make a movement that psychology, teaching, learning of psychology is a must from the very school uh, situation. It must be make a movement that only economics and this external environment knowledge would not do. The subject of psychology must be given due importance. Psychoanalysis, in particular, also should be given due importance and accepted. These few words I end. Last of all, I say, we are moving for what? Harmony. 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 Is it not? Harmony will come that we must find out. In all respects, in family, in myself, in society, in politics, everywhere, we hunt for harmony, harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mondal, for emphasizing the importance of our internal environment in almost every sphere, not only of our life, but in the life of the society and in the life of our nation. I think you are right when you said that economists have been included, but psychologists have not been included in the planning commission because economy, to a very large extent, is being moved by the psychology of the people. Thank you very much, sir, for your very insightful lecture. And now we invite our very dear and our very own Professor Janti Basu. She said that she doesn't have a biodata. So I think because she doesn't need any introduction, I think everyone, every student of psychology who is present here right now knows her personally and probably is a student of her directly or indirectly. And she has today presented a very interesting paper. We know Bose as a psychoanalyst, we know Bose as a philosopher, but we do not know that he also wrote children's literature. And one of his books is Lal Kalu, and she is going to present a paper on Lal Kalu.
Thank you very much, Pushpari. Uh, uh, I am really overwhelmed to be. This is a great honor that I really feel to be able to be here, and more than that, Pushpari offered me the great opportunity to present a paper. So, my salutation to Professor Mondal, Pushpari, Dr. Outsley, Purnimadi, and all other senior psychoanalysts, Shaladi, Tujuli, Varanidhi, and everybody else. I mean, I'll name all of them, the students and the trainees. Uh, as Pushpati said, she told me a few days back to present a paper, and after groping with various works of Virendra Shekhar Bose, I finally decided to present a brief commentary on his book for children, The Lal Kalu. I have titled this paper as Why War, in parentheses, between ants. Lal Kalu was published in 1930. Being forgotten for long, it was reclaimed around the turn of the century when an English translation was made by Madhuchandra Karlikar and Sunandini Banerjee. Lal Kalu is about the war between two species of ants, the red and the black, and ultimate destruction of the red ants after many dramatic turns. The political hints thereof during the years of subjugation under the British was not missed by the reader. That the British were often referred to as Lalmuga Sahib and the natives as Kala Admi can easily be remembered. However, in this paper, I will focus not on the political reading of the story, but on the psychoanalytical thoughts about aggression and war. A brief recapitulation of the story. The story begins with the harassment of a beautiful black ant lady by a cheeky youth of the red community. The red youth made gestures and taunted the black lady, who happened to be a favorite friend of the black queen. The black beauty complained to the queen about her insult, who in turn insisted to the king that retribution is warranted. The red ants were natural warriors and very aggressive in nature, so the black minister was not in favor of challenging them. However, after the black queen stopped eating, the king surrendered to his wife. The cheeky red ant who dared the black lady was caught and beheaded. Thereafter, the reds attacked the black settlement to avenge this death. As the battle started, the blacks were pathetically defeated by the red ants. The blacks were no warriors. Many were killed and only a few could make it to their homes. Here arrives a chameleon, the deity, who plays a very vital role in the story. The red ants, during their proud parade, had unduly attacked this deity. He became engaged and befriended the blacks only to retaliate the red ants. Because of this uncalled for aggression, the red ants acquired enmity of this very powerful animal. Now Gilgiti became the friend of the black ants. The Gilgiti carried a messenger of the blacks on his back, and this speed of movement delivered great advantage to them. Through the Gilgiti, they reached some of their friends, like the Uchinre community, a frog who stays with the Uchinres, and the Leo ants. All of them agreed to help the blacks because the blacks were very friendly. In a subsequent battle, the Reds were defeated by this joint force and many were killed by the Deos. Then they sought help from a snake and a venomous species of wood ants. However, with the help of the DDT, the blacks were saved from this joint attack and took shelter with the Uchingas. When the red ants attacked the Uchinga settlement, the frog swallowed all who dared to come in. Frog became the friend of the blacks. When the battle was in this kind of status quo, a technologically talented red ant called Vyali Sharma devised a way of giving wings to the ants, with which they would fly over the abode of the Uchinga. All reds were jubilant except the minister and another wise red ant. They recalled the ancient proverb that ants with wings die soon. However, the king and the other red ants decided to attack the Uchinga settlement. Learning about the plan, the DDP visited the bird Chhatra, no idea what it is, uh, who assured DDP that he will take care of the winged ants. When the ants attacked the home of the chingles from above because they had wings, the bird gulped them all while crying. That marked the final fall of the red ants. If we see the story, we will find that violating honor of a woman started the warfare. Apparently, the taunting by the red cheeky one seems quite innocuous. The statement what he said was, "Kalo bou, kalo bolo, jole ঢেউ সামলে চলো." So we may feel that the black lady and the black queen would have withstood this very small insult, avoiding the battle. But I don't know, I thought that perhaps the author had in mind a more serious assault, but rendered it inoffensive to make it suitable for the children. Otherwise, the rest of the story doesn't fit in. Thus, like many epics, Eastern and Western, the problem starts with the respect of a lady, like Draupadi, who was also a black lady. However, once the war launches, it is an all-male affair with no more female character. The next part carries us to the conflict about hesitation about war. The blacks, being temperamentally non-belligerent, wanted to avoid war, which was not to be, as Providence would have it. But the blacks had acquired many friends from different species, the chameleon being the most powerful. And also the day and Suchingre frog bird. The chameleon would have been the natural foe of the blacks as well, because a chameleon eats all ants. But he was infuriated by the assault of the red ants and practically engineered the triumph of the blacks. Though the chameleon did not participate in any violence himself, engineered the triumph of the blacks through strategic movement and communicating with all the allies. The DDP got all the allies to support the blacks. The reds also approached and got help from a poisonous snake and ferocious wood ants, yet they succumbed to the superior organized power of the allies of the blacks. So on the whole, it seems that even in prolonged warfare, the affinitive motive, peaceful nature and friendliness wins over brute power and pride. Freud has been fumbling with the concept of aggression and destruction from the very beginning. Despite recognizing natural aggression in boys and in sadism, the connection of eros and aggression in sadism, it was only in 1917 that the inherent urge to return to the early state of life was recognized by Freud, and in 1922, beyond the pleasure principle, aggression was recognized as a manifestation of underlying death instinct. Application of this changing conceptualization of aggression as expression of death instinct was reflected in the famous Einstein-Freud correspondence published in 1933 as Why War. In 1932, Einstein, being a member of the International Institute of Intellectual Cooperation under the League of Nations, invited leading thinkers around the world to comment on significant social and scientific issues. Freud received his letter on dated 30th July 1930. We may consider Lalkalu in this context as pre-shadowing Freud's thought in this letter. Einstein was thinking of group conflicts really, nations in war and civil war. Freud in his reply encompassed both. Is Lalkalu about international or civil war? Perhaps a bit of both. Here conflict started between two species of ants, but other species, other nations, so to say, were also involved. As the intriguing nature of our psychic life would have it, affiliation or eros connected these species and subspecies in perusal of destruction. Thus, ambivalence that Freud emphasized so much in his letter was already suggested in context of civil war and national war in London. Einstein had two major questions in mind. He wanted to know how to stop worldwide belligerence. He observed that the will of a few bends the mind of many toward war. He wrote, how is it these devices succeed so well? This is in quote. These devices succeed so well in rousing men to such wild enthusiasm, like war. Because man has within him a lust for hatred and destruction. Then Einstein asked, is it possible to control man's mental evolution so as to make him proof against the psychosis of hate and destructiveness? A second query of Einstein was about the role of a superorganization like the League of Nations. His statement seems almost like a dream. I will read it out to contrast it with Freud's answer. Einstein says, quote, setting up by international consent of a legislative and judicial body to settle every conflict arising between nations. Each nation would undertake to abide by the orders issued by this legislative body, to invoke its decision in every dispute, to accept its judgment unreservedly, unquote. Freud's reply Freud's reply reflected his clinical and intellectual knowledge as well as his down-to-earth sentiment and also his anxiety and despair. Instead of Einstein's use of the word might to designate power, Freud insisted use of violence. Violence seems to be a more behavioral disposition toward action. Freud observed that conflict of interest is typically resolved through violence. Culture gives its only sophisticated forms. He recognized that even weapons are products of culture, and superior brain begets superior weapons, like Bialish Karma in Lankan. Therefore, if peace has to be obtained through a superorganization, unlike Einstein's dream, Freud is more down to earth. He says it would also need to have some kind of intrinsic power and has to be forceful enough to engage the non-compliance to listen to this organizational dicta. In Lalo, Bialishkarma had the brain, yet miscalculation about the force of affinity and coming together resulted in their defeat. One group and in this kind of warfare, one group has ultimately to be killed, only to end the continued onslaught of further killing. Freud says, quote, one party has to be constrained. The end is most effectively gained when the opponent is definitely put out of action. In other words, is killed, unquote. Answering Einstein's second concern, Freud states, quote, there is but one sure way of ending war, and that is the establishment of a central control, which shall have the last word in every conflict of interest. For these two things are needed. One is the creation of a Supreme Court of Judication, which was already there as League of Nations. United Nations was not there then. Secondly, its investment with adequate executive force. So Freud says that force must be there. Some kind of threat must be there. If not violent, at least non-violent force must be in the hand of this organization. Freud sees two requisites to such organization, two factors of cohesion in a community: violent compulsion, this is Freud's word, and ties of sentiment. See how eros and destruction comes together. Ties of sentiment, Freud says this is identification in technical parlance between the members of the group. Then, Freud, however, does not see the end of war as easy. Almost with a despair, he says that there is no likelihood of our being able to suppress humanity's aggressive tendencies. We cannot suppress aggressive tendencies, but we can think of rationality, superior intellect, and identification with culture to lead to ending of war. That is what Freud says. He says, how long have we to wait before the rest of the men turn pacifist? impossible to say, and yet perhaps our hope that these two factors, man's cultural disposition and the well-founded dread of the form that future wars will take, may serve to put an end to war. With this, in Lal Kalo, we see that the dread of future devastation did not stop violence, although the ministers cried. But the power of culture of identification, affinity, resulted in ultimate victory of the relatively peace-loving blacks, not absolutely, but relatively peace-loving blacks, despite apparent weakness. Identification is a product of culture of friendship and partial surrender of true self-serving impulses may not look lucrative under the looming threat of violence, but it only has the ability to help survival of human race. If there is a moral in Lalkalo, it is this apparently passive and friendly stance of the black ants that enabled them to acquire forceful allies, superior both to themselves and to their foe. I was wondering if, knowingly or unknowingly, Girindra Shekhar, the savage Freud, was presupposing through his fantasy Sigmund Freud's response to Einstein about the future of warfare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janti, for this wonderful paper and wonderful analysis of Lal Kalo. I mean, we all probably have read Lal Kalo, and we all know that it is a kind of symbolic representation of the battle between and the fight between the British and the Indians. But its deep psychoanalytical implications you have brought up today, probably for the first time, because I have not read any article or any literature where Lal Kalo actually has been psychoanalytically interpreted. Thank you very much. And I now, we are towards the close of our program. I now request Kusturi, our student, to recite a poem which is very dear to our heart and probably dear to every Indian.
চিত্ত যেথা ভয় শূন্য, উচ্চ যেথা শীল, জ্ঞান যেথা মুক্ত, যেথা গৃহের প্রাচীর, আপন প্রাঙ্গণ তলে দিবস সর্বরী, বসুধারে রাখে নাই খণ্ড ক্ষুদ্র করি, যেথা বাক্য হৃদয়ের উৎস মুখ হতে উচ্ছ্বসিয়া ওঠে, যেথা নির্বারিত স্রোতে দেশে দেশে দিশে দিশে কর্মধারা ধায়, অজস্র সহস্রবিধ চরিতার্থতায়, যেথা তুচ্ছ আচারের মরু বালু রাশি, বিচারের স্রোতপথ ফেলে নাই গ্রাসী, পৌরুষেরে করেনি শতথা, নিত্য যেথা তুমি সর্বকর্ম চিন্তা আনন্দের নেতা, নিজ হস্তে নির্দয় আঘাত করি পিত, ভারতের সেই স্বর্গে করো।
I now request our esteemed chief guest, because we have said that he is a musician, singer also, to sing a song, after which he will cut the cake, the birthday cake. It's our 100th year for that birth anniversary. So, sir, please, we would like to hear a song from you, appropriate to the occasion, whatever you think fit, then you will have to do us the honors of cutting the cake. Now, আমাদের অসুখ খুব আমরা একটু টাইম কনস্ট্যান্ট আছে একটা স্যার টাইম
Music is practical psychology. तेरो आने कबूल जीवन भर छूटे भाई प्रेम बिरहे तेरो आने कबूल
Well, that was a very good ending because that's what Joy has said. That in ultimate analysis, all that we can do is to love and to work. So what happens to the life if love is absent there? That has been brought out by this song. We have time constraint, that is why we cannot request Dr. Mondal. Otherwise, we would have loved to hear more and more songs from him. But I now request him to do us the honor of cutting our birthday cake. Dr. Mondal, and break out, please. You join hands with him. Janti, please join hands with him.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, RIPS. Happy birthday to you. Now we will close our ceremony with another musical of our student. May I invite Aishwarya? Aishwarya. And after that, we have our tea outside. So please don't go. Please stay. নয়ন আমার রূপের পুরে সাধ মেটায় বেড়ায় ঘুরে নয়ন আমার রূপের পুরে সাধ মেটায় বেড়ায় ঘুরে শ্রবণ আমার গভীর সুরে হয়েছে মগ্ন জগতে আনন্দ যোগে আমার জীবন চলো জগতে আনন্দ যোগে আমার জীবন চলো ধন্য হলো ধন্য হলো মানব জীবন জগতে আনন্দ যোগে আমার জীবন চলো তোমার যোগে দিয়ে শোভার বাজায় আমি বাঁশি গানে গানে গেথে বেড়াই প্রাণের কান্না হাসি তোমার যোগে দিয়েছ ভাই বাজাই আমি বাঁশি গানে গানে গেথে বেড়াই প্রাণের কান্না হাসি এখন সময় হয়েছে কি সভায় গিয়ে তোমায় দেখি এখন সময় হয়েছে কি সভায় গিয়ে তোমায় দেখি জয়ধ্বনি শুনিয়ে যাব এ মোর নিবেদন জগতে আনন্দ যোগে আমার নিমন প্রাণ ধন্য হলো ধন্য হলো মানব জীবন জগতে আনন্দ যোগে আমার জীবন চলো
Now I invite our secretary to offer vote of thanks and to make some very, very pleasurable announcement.
Thanks to all of you here. I would like to thank especially Professor Mondul and Joint Didi for joining us on dais, and Rodruti Purnimadi for being with us. For our a lot of thanks to our senior members like Tultusi, Sarladi, and of course Banani Di. They are here with us to share our joy. And Chaya Dike na thank you করলে তো আমি পারছি না. She is our landlady and she is with us right now. The thanks goes on to all of you, to the students, to members, to affiliates. This ceremony wouldn't be possible without you because IPS is all about its people. Our members, students, affiliates, our patrons and guests. We are nothing without you. Our thanks need to accommodate many people who are not visible. Today, the card, logo, banner, all the designing has been done by Devjani. I thank you, Devjani. I thank Anoma for streaming our program live today, and she would be streaming this program in the afternoon also. I thank our President, Dr. Mishra, for planning and guiding through this ceremony. And thank you all, and thanks to our staff, Sufalda and Rekha, who are working day and night. All this decoration that you see had been done in guidance of Pushpa Saradi and the hard work of many members and our staff. Now the pleasurable announcement is about tea, cake, so please enjoy yourself. Don't go without the tea and cake specially. And I would like to have you again and again because we are planning to do a year-long celebrations. We would be having a webinar every month and we are planning a couple of seminars during the year, in-person seminars. And of course, I expect and I hope we will be meeting more frequently this year. Thank you. Thank you all. বাইরে আমাদের এই টি কফি কেক আর নাস্তা আছে প্লিজ nobody should go without them